destroyed.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
We saw a lot of gambling when it came to strategy 1 week ago at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. Well, what better place to keep that streak alive than in the gambling capital of America? Welcome to Las Vegas and the Viva Las Vegas 202. My name is, of course, Nolan Rempel, and we are bringing you all of the coverage with myself and Austin Edstrom in the broadcast booth here for tonight's race. So, Austin, 1.5 miles of the distance around this speedway, 202 total for 135 laps. Walk us through it. What do you think we can expect to see coming out of this absolutely hectic race tonight?
I think you're going to see luck come into hand because we're in Las Vegas, baby. I can't wait to get this race started. I think especially on cold tires, a lot of these guys are going to be really, really tight entering these corners. I mean, you got to get these cars slowed down quite a bit, especially if you're about mid-pack and you just have so much dirty air on your nose. So I really expect to see people have a lot of like aero push issues and maybe get kind of a push loose condition coming out of turns number 2, especially. I think turn number 4 might be a little bit easier for these guys to handle coming out, but if they get side by side, I've seen the outside guy get put into the wall time and time again. So I definitely expect to see a little bit of argy-bargy coming out of the corners here tonight, and a couple big runs down the front stretch. I think we might see a little bit of bump drafting, not as much as we saw last week at Auto Club, but we could see some guys working together to try to make some moves happen, especially on these restarts. So I'm really looking forward to, like I said, the restarts. I mean, they're going to be absolutely balls to the wall, freaking out on every single restart where you got to get so much track position. So I'm really looking forward to all that.
You can see the schedule up on your screens. We, of course, are finishing out our first run of 3. We do have an off week for Labor Day weekend next week. It is, of course, the long weekend, so we're going to be taking that week off, and we will be returning on September 11th for the Phoenix race. Well, Austin, I understand you're going to be missing us on that week, so we'll be looking forward to having you back with us when we go racing down to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That just saw a fantastic race for the Pro Car Comms World Challenge Series. Go check it out after this race if you haven't done so already. If you're joining us from there, but for now, of course, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the race that's bringing it on up here in this one. And you take a look at the championship standings entering tonight. We're into 2 races, and Benjamin Lacey has established himself as a firm points contender up at the top. Ricky Hart Jr. is in second. Brian Dees in third. I think at this point, though, it's safe to say, Austin, that these points, they have so much room to fluctuate. I can't really see any trends starting to emerge.
No, not at all. And, we've only had one real racetrack, if I have to say so. Super speedways can be so, I don't know, so different compared to everything else. It takes a totally different type of talent, a totally different type of skill, a lot more teamwork than a lot of these other racetracks. So, once we get down to the nitty gritty of this schedule, like you mentioned, the off weekend next week, but then Phoenix, a road course, it's just going to have a lot more variety. And as the variety starts to kind of blossom through the middle part of the schedule, I think that the point standings are going to shuffle up quite a bit.
Points are looking to shuffle out a little bit throughout the course of this race as well, as it'll be interesting to see what these guys are going to be able to do. We do have, of course, only one car often to put down a qualifying lap as it stands, but I don't think it's going to necessarily lead to all that much, considering we only have 20 seconds left in qualifying. I think it's a bit late for Mitch Diamond to try to put down a lap, but hey, practicing pit exit, not a bad idea. We might be getting a bit of a longer green flag run. We're hoping we'll get a longer green flag run than we saw at the Auto Club Speedway just 1 week ago over in Fontana. Meanwhile, though, we've got everything lined up and essentially ready to go. So with that all set in stone, it's going to be high time that we take a rundown of how this race is going to shake on up, as one by one, drivers are going to start to grid on up from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Austin, I think it's safe to say we are very excited to see how this race is going to pan on out. And here it is, your starting grid for the Viva Las Vegas 202. It is the likes of Nick Nickerson to start on pole position. Ethan Fonseca Moreno going to start beside him on the front row by just 11th thou. Richard Hall is down in third with Benjamin Lacey in fourth. Bridge Rosen is in fifth with Derek Paulson in sixth. Sean Britt brings it up in seventh with Brian Dees in eighth. Cody Welch is ninth. Ricky Hart Jr. rounds out the top 10.
Row 6 is going to kick off with Rick Thompson. 12th place, Jason Greenwell. 13th is going to be Tony Hilbrands. 14th, Kevin Foster. 15th, Stephen Hayes. 16th, Michael Thorpe Jr. 17th, David Leakey. 18th is Curtis Yancey. 19th, Hunter Karsten. And rounding out our top 20 is Austin McGill.
Jacob Lachlan is going to be in 21st position. Samuel Lawson is going to be down at the 22nd spot. Connor Gibbs is 23rd with Dalton Kilrow in 24th. Paul Wilson is at 25th with Will Turnbull. Turns out from New Brunswick, not in fact from Australia, as we assumed 1 week ago. Tom Maraska going to be at 27th with Christopher Bassinger in 28th. He is the first driver not to put down a qualifying lap. And they've got Eddie Hagge, Mitch Diamond, Stan Hausman, and Joshua Kane rounding out the field of 32. Notable runs here in this one. Look down at 31st place, Stan Hauser for Max Graphics Racing. Those that follow the Speed Cup Series closely will recognize him as one of the primary sponsors and title contenders. He is making his season debut, and his series debut, in fact, over here tonight in the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series for your running of the Viva Las Vegas 202. It's going to be a fun ride, I think, for all drivers involved. It's a fast speedway, one of the fastest speedways we have out here on the NASCAR calendar when it comes to mile and a halves. And I think all of that, it's going to shake up for a fantastic race. Vegas so far, Green Flag TV, it's never let us down.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing going down into turn number 1, even after the restarts are done. There's kind of 2 distinct lanes that you can really run into the first couple corners. You can either run that absolute bottom, or you can kind of put it on that first seam that you see the pace car kind of running right there. That goes all the way down into turn number 1. And you can kind of run that first seam and find just as much speed, if not a little bit more, with how good of a run you'll get off coming off the corner. And then down into turn 3 and 4, I really think it's a bottom feeder style of racetrack. You can definitely make that top side work if you can just pinch the guy below you off a little bit and just make sure he can't get as good of a run off of the corner. But I don't know if we're going to be seeing people running, single file and utilizing that top lane as much. I just think it's a little bit slower, but we're going to have to wait and see. It's been a little while since I've seen a race here at Las Vegas, so it could have changed after a while. Nick Nickerson gets a pretty good jump for the opening start of the race. You know, they both get the green flag at the same time for the opening start, so typically the second place driver can get a good jump, but Ethan Moreno was just a little bit lagging behind off the main jump, and Nick Nickerson's able to take the lead easily going down into turn number 1. They're single file for first, second, and third position, and they're side by side for fourth. That was a tough situation coming out of turn number 3. Stephen Hayes got down to the bottom of Hillbrands. As Hillbrands just missed the bottom of the corner in 3 and 4. The car on the outside of Thompson kind of came down the racetrack towards the exit of the corner, as we're going to eventually get a replay here. Coming up, yep, we saw Stephen Hayes getting to the side of Hillbrands there just a little bit, but a little bit earlier in the corner, Thompson kind of came down and actually made contact with Hillbrands first to get Hillbrands loose and come down into Stephen Hayes. We're going to watch on the replay here of Stephen Hayes' onboard. They make a little bit of contact there in front of him. You see Hillbrands get just a little bit loose, and Stephen Hayes really had nowhere to go. So kind of feel bad for Stephen Hayes. It looked like that might have been his fault right off the bat, but I just think he was kind of an innocent bystander in that one. And, you know, unfortunate for Hillbrands to get spun around this early, but, you know, I don't think he has any damage, just a little bit of tire smoke coming out of that one.
And again, good job in this field. That could have been a pretty nasty incident, as we'll ride on board with Hillbrands here next, as he was right in the thick of all of this. Hang on. Watch the wheel work needed to keep this car going on the 360 slide. Locks it down, gets it into the grass, car straightens itself out, a little bit of corrections, and off he goes. Good save overall from Hillbrands. Yeah, he could have easily jumped that car down into the inside, but he's going to keep himself very much up on the racetrack. So, working the yellow flag for the first time here in this one, and if I'm being honest here on this one, Austin, it doesn't bode well when you have a caution on the opening lap of any race.
Maybe they're tricking us. You remember last week, the first 35 laps of that race, it didn't run caution-free, but it was pretty not tame either. The racing was crazy, but we didn't have the cautions. So maybe we're just getting the cautions out of the way right off the bat, and then we're going to get a nice long green flag run. I said I had so much faith last week that we were going to get that long run to end the race. So I'm going to continue to hold my faith in these guys. It was just a minor incident, right? It wasn't anything crazy. So I'm going to keep my faith.
Well, you said we had a good green flag run of about 30 laps. Yes. Do you want to remind us what happened on the first 80, though? About what happened from about laps 1 through to 85 thereabouts?
I don't remember the middle portion of that race. You know, I've decided to throw that out of my memory bank because I don't like thinking about things that upset me. So
I'm still amazed at Britt and the 8 car and their major wrecks from last week. Kevin Foster, those wrecks will live in green flag TV infamy.
We did see a couple crazy wrecks. I mean, I mentioned the Beyblade incident last week. Oh, man. Who was it that got up in the outside wall in turn 3 that went spinning like a top?
Foster, Kevin Foster.
Oh, my goodness. Poor Kevin Foster. I've never seen a car get so high until we saw Ryan Preece this week. He kind of put him to shame there. So I thought that was going to be the craziest wreck I saw of the week, but somehow real life actually beat out iRacing for a crazy wreck. That's kind of the first time I've seen that in a long time.
Yeah, Ryan Preece tried to recreate a whole. I've seen a lot of comparisons on Ryan Preece's flip. I've seen the comparisons to the Rusty Wallace flips at Daytona and Talladega over from '93. I've seen comparisons to Waltrip's flip in '91, which personally I think is the most similar to Waltrip's. I've also seen the comparison to Davey Allison's flip from Pocono in I think '92. There's a lot that
anytime they get into the grass, man, and they're flipping, you're just along for the ride, and you see some crazy incidents. It's been a while, right?
Can you imagine blower fixes scoring iRacing on these cars?
Oh goodness gracious! I mean, they probably should with the flat underbody. If I'm being serious, I think that's what's causing them in real life. So it would be kind of cool for them to put it into the service.
Well, yeah, you never know. They're working on reins, so anything's possible. Pace car's back off. We'll go green flag racing on lap number 4. Back around to the front straightaway. Green flag is up and into the air as Nickerson will hightail it up and away in the run down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, if Nickerson got a good jump on the first start whenever you have no advantage over the guy in second place, then he was definitely going to get a huge jump on that second restart whenever he gets to dictate when to go. And we see it. He's pulled out a huge gap here to second place. I mean, I say huge. 0.3 of a second. That's a lot for one corner. But, you know, our top 3 single file again. just like our first restart, and they're side-by-side for fourth. I believe that's Richard Olson and Sean Britt coming out of turn number 4. A little bit of contact coming out of 4. Holland on the inside, just a little bit of contact, and he's actually going to fall a couple positions. Sean Britt, Benjamin Lacey, and Derek Paulson now trying to go around his outside.
Paulson working the top shelf as well, trying to get around Holland. You see Lacey right in front of Derek Paulson as well. They'll work to the back straightaway. Got a fight developing for the race lead as well as Nickerson trying to keep Moreno at bay. At 8th Moreno trying to attack. He'll go for the outside, coming off at turn numbers 3 and 4. How's this for an overtake attempt as Moreno pulls alongside from the top shelf on just the 7th lap?
Nickerson missed the bottom in turns 3 and 4, and that really gave Ethan Moreno the chance on the outside as he is powering out on the outside line of turns number 1 and 2. He's going to get a big run down the backstretch compared to the 2 machine of Nick Nickerson, and he's going to clear him for the lead going down into turn number 3. Absolute power move from Francesco Moreno off of the jump here on the second restart. Just took him 2 laps to be able to get the lead from Nick Nickerson after Nickerson got such a huge jump, and now Nickerson's under pressure from Bridger Olson for third.
Bridger Olson trying to attack for the number 3 spot. Sean Britt caught in the fray here as well. And here's all the big side-by-side battling deeper in the field. Looking off the top shelf, we got Stephen Hayes. Michael Thorpe Jr. runs the bottom. Ricky Hart Jr. is right behind us, and Jason Greenwell also in the fray. But they're going to single file things back out. This is one of the big things as well about Las Vegas, right? It's a lot harder to keep a side-by-side battle going for very long.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, it's just that tight condition. You see if somebody gets to somebody else's outside, especially in 3 and 4 where they're pinching so heavily, that car on the inside just has no runoff room to be able to get off the corner and just get super tight under the car underneath them. We saw it on both restarts so far in this race, and I just keep seeing it throughout the field that people are just missing the bottom going into turn 3 just a little bit or getting pinched down coming off at turn number 4, and it's just causing them to slide up the racetrack. They're losing that front end a little bit, and that right front tire is just sliding straight up the racetrack.
Sean Britt trying to establish a momentum run here on Bridger Olson's 0-2 machine as we work back to the front straightaway, crossing things up and around. I can tell you right now, the racing here is just absolutely epic as it stands. The last time we were here was, of course, at the Old Mescal Xfinity Series, and as it so often does, that race here, absolute barn burner, and once again, another series to go check out after we finish tonight's running here in this one. So much action that we have on a regular basis. Right aboard with Ricky Hart Jr. as he is working the top side mode, I believe, of Michael Thorpe Jr. trying to keep that car pinned on the high side. The Hart trying to fight it out from Thorpe as they'll work around 1 and 2 once again towards that Nellis straightaway. And all the while, you got the sun that is starting to set as well. And you wonder if maybe when you get off some of these corners, it's not having an impact on the sight lines some of these drivers have on one another.
Yeah, definitely good. And I mean, if you're already tight entering the corner and then you get a little bit of sun blinding, you come off at turn number 4 especially. That's the trouble spot. Like I said, whenever they're side by side and somebody gets tight on the bottom, you get that sun blasting in your face and you might just not know where you're coming off the corner at. So you just kind of have to use the car on your outside as a little bit of a guiding force. But like I mentioned earlier, they just get so tight. And I mean, just as I say that, Bridger Olson from the P3 position just about goes into the fence coming off of turn number 2. Just really getting tight in the dirty air of the cars in front. And we are seeing just some really tight racing throughout the field, so you know dirty air has got to be a huge factor at this point.
Stephen Hayes gets up and around Rick Thompson, and Thorpe clears from Hart. Side by side is behind between Foster and Yancey, as well as Locklear and McGill. So a couple of side-by-side battles, 2 rows deep, 2 wide, and everybody else, for the most part, single filed up towards the sharp end of this field. It's very, very organized right now, and it's not something we're used to seeing all that often, right? An actual organized field. We saw it a lot at Daytona. We didn't see any of it at Auto Club. It's nice, though, to get that happy medium of controlled chaos.
Yeah, they're all lined up nose to tail single file, but I mean, they're just so close to each other. You know that one little incident can cause a huge pileup if somebody just drives into the corner a little bit too hard into the guy in front of them or makes a mistake coming off these corners. It's still going to junk a lot of the field, but with them single filed out, you expect them maybe to be a little bit safer than we saw at Auto Club. You know, Auto Club, you just get the big runs where people can just make absolutely crazy bonsai moves. It's a little bit harder here. You really have to work up your momentum to try to make a run on somebody. And by that point, whenever you are side by side, you got to make the pass quick, right? It's not just crazy dive bombs or slide jobs. It's all about getting that run through the center of the corner and good momentum coming off. So that's why I think that we're going to see less cautions this week. I really think we're going to single file out like this. And at some point, we are going to start spreading out and seeing some tire wear coming to play.
Brian D side by side with Rick Thompson as he worked the back straightaway, and Thompson trying to keep that fight going for the final spot inside the top 10. Just up the road, Sean Britt under fire as well by Benjamin Lacey, right in the blind spot coming off of turn number 4. But you see more shade dropping down over the speedway. That is as the sun is slowly but surely setting behind the front straightaway grandstands. So it won't be too long, I think, before we manage to find ourselves up and fully in the fray. Working the nose straightaway once more. Now on top of Sean Britt out of Rollsville, North Carolina. He's got Cody Welch in his sights, trying to set him a pass. He will clear from Benjamin Lacey. We work our way through turn numbers 3 and 4.
Sean Britt really sent it down to make sure that he could clear Benjamin Lacey, and somehow he actually gets to the left rear quarter panel with Cody Welch just about coming off the corner. He has to end up conceding to position, so Cody Welch still holding on to that 4th place position, but really tight racing all the way throughout the field as Nick Nickerson is not letting Ethan Francesco Moreno get away.
And that's the draft coming into play, right? I mean, these cars race great now at mile and a half, but it's almost frustrating. It's like a big pack race. You cannot break away from anybody at tracks like this one, and now the pole sitter trying to go back to the bottom of Moreno. They're going to get tied off of turn numbers 3 and 4. I think Moreno may have caught the outside wall that time by off of turn 4 and working through the tri-oval. Tell you what, it's a good fight, and you can see they're starting to split themselves up now for the rest of this grouping as somebody else, I think, side-slapped the outside wall off of 4.
Yeah, that inside line's just so hard to make work whenever you've got somebody else getting the huge momentum coming off of these corners, especially in 3 and 4 where they can pinch you down almost onto the apron and just make you get really, really tight. And we saw that from Nick Nickerson. He got to the inside of Moreno going into turn number 3, but he just got a little bit tight, and now that's opened the door for Bridger Olson on the outside coming through 3 and 4. He's going to give a bumper to Moreno here for the lead. Can Bridger Olson get to his outside before they get to turn number 1? I don't think so. That bump just was a little bit too big, and it pushes Moreno out to a healthy lead going into turn number 1.
Rounding lap number 19, and the fuel window is one where these guys are not going to be able to stay out here for too long. What were you telling me before this race? We're looking at, what, a 2-stopper here in this one?
Yeah, roughly, man, maybe even a 3. It's roughly 40 to 45 laps. If you push it all the way to 45, then you can make it on 2 stops. And now that they had the first caution here at the beginning, so a lot of these guys, if they would have saved fuel during that first caution, which I imagine they would, they could push this out to about 45 or 46 if I had to bet, and that could save them just enough gas to end up getting to their fuel window. As actually Bridger Olson gets a huge run on the outside of turn number 2, sticks it to the outside of Francesco Moreno coming into turn number 3, and Bridger Olson's going to clear going through 3 and 4. I do believe he's going to get a huge run off the top of the corner. Ethan Moreno is just going to be a passenger at this point, not able to stop the run of Bridger Olson.
Part of why I love Las Vegas Motor Speedway is the multi-group aspect that this racetrack provides. We just saw it in full force right there, and now it is all chaos in the background as we're 3 wide, working in the secondary pack here. Stephen Hayes caught in the middle, and he's caught the 28 of Ricky Hart Jr. as his top side. That's Greenwell to the bottom. Hazelwood managed to chop back down low, but that got a bit close there down the Nella straightaway.
Just tight racing between any of these packs here. We've got 2 main packs and just a couple stragglers here towards the back. It's all about leading that second pack so that you can hopefully just break free, not have that side draft slowing you down through the corners, through the straightaways, and just trying to kind of inch into the lead that the main pack is kind of stretched at this point. But our main pack is racing just as hard as our second, but man, the second is 2 by 2 from about 12th place on back.
And here is that leading pack again. Olson has managed to break clear. Nickerson still trying to keep Moreno at bay. You saw Welch being pushed by Lacey down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. And now Sean Britt trying to make some kind of move on the top side as well. You got Richard Holland also trying to throw his hat into the ring. It's a fierce battle that we've got going as it stands here. These guys are showing no signs of be willing to slow down anytime soon. Battle picks up for second. I believe that will be Nickerson who will finally clear. No, not quite. He's got Moreno fighting his inside line, but I think Moreno having some sort of internet difficulties as he's going to be constantly dropping into now. That's it's like we were DJ Clark and I were talking about on Saturday's truck race. It's one of the worst cases you can have when you're battling side-by-side like this, because it's only going to take one bad blink to cause an almighty wreck.
Oh my goodness, if I'm Nick Nickerson, I'm freaking out right now. I mean, he was going into the corner and all of a sudden a car just pops into him right into the braking zone of the corner. And you're just dragging the brakes here, so it's not like you're on them too heavily, but man, whenever a car pops into you right whenever you're, or right into your vision, right whenever you're going into the corner, it's very, very off-putting. It can really put you off and, you know, just kind of slow down your momentum through that corner and down the next straightaway. So Nick Nickerson actually going to lose another position here to Benjamin Lacey after that little bit of a blinking issue in front of him. But man, they're still 2 by 2 from third on back.
And even in this secondary pack that we're looking at now, you got the 99 in the fray here. McGill trying to work to the inside of Curtis Yancey. And all the while, Greenwell and Moore are showing no signs of wanting to give up the fight here in the secondary pack. You got the 17 of Brian Dees still looking to make moves around the top, and it's a good wide angle that we've got. It shows kind of the big spread. Whoa, Austin McGill sliding it up from the bottom, and the 99 snacks up this entire group.
Hard racing here for about the 11th place position here. Austin McGill's still trying to get it from Yancey here in the 51 machine on the outside. Looks like Yancey's going to have the momentum coming off of turn number 2. As we see, I believe that was Ricky Hart make a little bit of contact to the wall coming out of turn 2 ahead of them as he makes a pass for, I believe it's 9th place position. He's still fighting with Thorpe, but Austin McGill still side by side with the 17 of Dees.
And Brian Dees will work that top shelf, and now 3 wide behind, as well for a brief moment at least. Kevin Foster tucks in line as Stephen Hayes went 3 abreast with himself in the that's the 1 of Ty Marasco, who will go through wide again, works at the bottom. He'll pick up 2 for 2.
Brian Dees now looking to the inside of Yancey going into turn number 3. That 17 machine's coming to life, coming to the front, trying to get clear of this second pack so that he can set sights on our leaders. And it looks like he might do it coming out of turn number 4. He gets completely clear of Yancey. Yancey's going to give him a bumper at the start-finish line, and they're going to go down into turn number 1, single file. Oh, man, Yancey actually puts it back to his outside, drives it in deep, but it looks like Brian Dees is going to get the job done.
You see how more and more cars are starting to filter to that top shelf. That's that outside line starting to rubber in, getting more and more grips. Soon the bottom will no longer be the fastest way around the racetrack. But for now, if you're not being overtaken, the inside is still the place where you want to be, as this secondary group will work out of turn number 4. All the while at the front, even for second Moreno, still trying to keep Benjamin Lacey at big contact. Look out as Moreno gets pushed down the racetrack. Lacey gonna wrestle it back underneath him.
Man, Francesco Moreno just kind of came down the racetrack a little bit there whenever Benjamin Lacey was trying to get to the bottom himself. Made a little bit of contact. Great job by both drivers saving those machines. But man, these guys got to be frustrated being stuck behind Moreno, because it just seems like a couple of them have a little bit more pace. But Moreno is fighting like a dog. I mean, he is not letting anybody by. Kind of getting his elbows out just a little bit, making that car as wide as it possibly can be.
And for the first time, this leading pack is single file itself out. Well, sort of, as in they're not side by side anymore, but everybody you can still see taking different lines, trying to find their own unique ways to get through, which allows them to again jump back to this second pack where Greenwell, the 76 of Thompson and McGill are all still running line astern, trying to find a way to get through. And even further behind, you can see more battles starting to pick up in a bit of a tertiary packet that Stephen Hayes has fallen back towards.
Yeah, Stephen Hayes must have burnt up his stuff for here early in those 3 wide battles that we saw. He's just kind of been dropping through the pack here the last couple laps. He was just recently in a battle for about 15th, 16th, and he's fallen all the way back to 23rd. So a little bit of struggle here for Stephen Hayes kind of early in this event. Normally I know him as a pretty good tire saver, so I'm surprised to see him falling back so early. But with a couple cautions or a couple pit stops, we could maybe see that machine work its way back up towards the front. But man, Yancey's trying to get to the inside of Rick Thompson. It looks like Rick Thompson's going to take that position away from Yancey. That's going to be the 12th place spot at the start-finish line.
So Curtis Yancey is through. Austin McGill trying to fight back down to the inside as the 99 Mustang tracks low. Not able to clear. Yancey going to push up and wide on a turn number 2 to the Nellis straightaway, and that the Bass Pro Shops Club number 51 Camaro going to try to push clear. McGill again sticks down the inside in his Amsoil Mustang, but I don't think he'll be able to get there as he will track up and wide. 3 wide. Ty Marasco with a huge tank slapper off of 4.
What an amazing save from Ty Marasco coming off of turn number 4. That could have been huge, taking out all 3 of those cars, but he holds on to it and is still running that top side on the outside of Jason Greenwell. Looks like he's going to get the move done coming out of turn number 2. Can he just get clear? It looks like Jason Greenwell might hang on to his right rear quarter panel. Not quite. It looks like Ty Marasco is going to make that work. Yep, going into turn number 3, he gets a pretty good drive into the corner, and Greenwell is going to have to give up the position.
Welch, Moreno, Lacey, side by side of the fight for the second position here, as Welch will continue to work to the top shelf. Lacey runs 4th, and all the while, Ethan Fonseca Moreno mounting a defense on the bottom lane. Welch almost to the outside wall out of turn number 2 to the back straightaway, and that drive might just let him get clear as we work through 3 and 4. Not quite. Moreno still bad from the bottom. He's going to get tight. He gets run over from behind. Moreno slides the inside, still trying to pedal the number 22, and he'll get Big Red underneath him.
Man, that was a really, really good save, but you could just see going into turn number 3, he drove into the corner way, way, way too deep, trying to stay to the inside of Cody Welch for the second place position. And once he knew that he was going to hit Cody Welch, he did a good job of getting off the gas, but Benjamin Lacey just did not have time to react. Really don't put too much of that on Benjamin Lacey because, I mean, who expects a car to slow up coming on the exit of the corner? But Francesco did have to do that, or Francesco Moreno did have to do that. And unfortunately, he drops pretty far through the pack after that little incident. But he's still within, you know, fighting distance of the lead here. We saw how fast he was. Plenty of time to get that lost track position back.
Paul Wilson, the first driver to bite the bullet and hit pit road, so he will come on in from, I believe that was about 19th here, so he will be the first one to come on down to the lane. Moreno had fallen from second all the way back now to 12th. He runs a bit of no man's land. We watch this fight for third, picking up still. So we have our first run of pit stop cycles about to kick off right as the sun crests behind the grandstands, and we get set to race into the dusk. Just like we saw at the Auto Club Speedway, and Daytona was a full night race. I believe Marasco just got a bit out of shape as well. He lost 2 on the front straight with this last time by. Gibson is now into the lane.
That will be a little bit early on the pit stop cycle to make it on 2 stops. He'll have to stop 2 more times, right? He'll have to make that a 3 stop here if it runs green the entire way. So a little bit early pit stop there coming down at lap number 35, but the rest of the leaders are still staying out. Everybody in the top 10 passing pit road. I think that these guys are going to try to push it to about 45. If they can make it to that point, it's a 2 stop is very well on the cards.
Ty Marasco's in this time by as well, so it really is kind of one by one, slowly trickling down, and then this is going to split this field up a big bunch as well. So these guys are having themselves a good drive so far. We have our first run of green flag pit stops here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Stan Hausman is in this time by as well. He will officially go 1 lap down. Marasco now sits 1 down as well. You're basically guaranteed to lose a lap when you pit here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is it's not ideal if a caution comes out, but if you know what you're doing, you can make it work. And you have to now start to wonder when is your leading pack going to start to come in, right? Because Bridger Olson is the one that's really leading the way up in front with not a whole lot of competition behind.
Yeah, I'm expecting them in anywhere from 4 to 5, 6 laps. Like I mentioned, if they want to make this a 2-stop, they've got to make it to about lap 45. So a couple of these guys might try to do that. But I also want to point out, this is one of the hardest pit exits, in my opinion. It just feels like the apron here at Las Vegas is just so like off camber. It's not as bad as Kansas in terms of the off camber feeling, but I feel like it's very easy to kind of slip up and get a pit road penalty if you're pushing it as hard as you can. As Cody Welch is now looking to the inside of Bridger Olson for the race lead.
Welch looks to the inside of Olson. We just saw Austin McGill have a bit of a moment, I believe, coming off of turn number 4. So we'll check on that in a moment. It looks like Cody Welch will get around him for the race lead. So we mentioned Austin McGill found himself in a bit of a spot of bother. Will again try to track down. He's running a bit by himself here in this one. So the Amsoil 99, I'm not sure what's ended up kind of going so wrong for him. He's all by his lonesome, and he all of a sudden, I can tell you what happened. I mean, he lost a boatload of spots, seemingly out of left field for no particular reason, and we might get a better look at it this time around. As was
he trying to pit?
I think
he
was.
missed the pit road?
Yeah, I think he was, and he missed pit road. And speaking of pit road, here comes everybody.
Yeah, Bridger Olson, Moreno, Sean Britt, Kilroe, Foster, all down pit road here at lap number 42. That's going to be a little bit too early to make the 2 stops, so these guys are going to be committing to the 3-stop strategy here. Coming down, getting 4 fresh Goodyear tires, filling up that tank full of fuel, as Cody Welch, our race leader, is now peeling off as well.
Cody Welch is into pit road for service, as is a good chunk of the rest of this field, just under 100 laps to go. Thorpe and Thompson are both in as well. Interesting for Foster, 2-tire strategy call on the number 8. I'm not sure if I agree with that.
I definitely don't. It only saved him, 3 seconds? So that say he was in his box for 12.5, and the rest of these guys are in for 15.3. So a 3-second save. I mean, if this thing runs the full 40 laps on this tank of gas, I mean, he's going to be a sitting duck here towards, I mean, even the halfway point of it. He's just going to lose so much time. I don't think those 3 seconds are going to do him any good. If it was towards the end of the race and, a little bit different lap count towards the end, if he only had 20 laps to go, I could definitely see that working out. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit too early to be trying that.
Lacey, Paulson, and Dees are the final drivers we were waiting on to come on down and into the lane. Interestingly enough, for Samuel Lawson, he was only we're still waiting on the top 4. Lawson, Diamond, Hilburns, and Kilroy to come down to pit road. I was a bit confused why they were in the box for so little, but it turns out that's because, remember, they pitted under that first yellow flag, which is why they're staying on a couple extra laps. They have the field to do so. They're trying to stretch so they can make it on a two-stopper.
I'm actually really surprised to see, you know, that you have those pit stop times up. Hilbrand's used a set of tires, right, on his first pit stop. He had a 15.1 second pit stop after that spin. And I know he spun out, but it wasn't that aggressive of a spin where it would have worn out those tires too bad. So I'm kind of surprised to see him burn a set so early, but I'm sure that he's relieved to see this run out 40 laps. So maybe the tire sets won't come into play, but I probably wouldn't have taken those tires there on that first lap spin.
You wonder maybe he left them checked on accident and forgot to turn them off. By the
Very good point.
By the time you're taking them off, you can't stop it. You may as well just go the whole distance at that point.
Yeah, no kidding. And the field is continuing to just kind of cycle out. It looks like our leader is going to end up being Mitch Diamond, I believe. No, actually, he had just pitted. My apologies. It'll be...
Oh, Bridger Olsen will be the leader, as we're also waiting on Kilroy to pit.
Yeah, so Bridger Olsen will end up cycling out to the lead, but he is under fire from Cody Welch. We saw him lose the lead to Cody Welch just before the pit stops, and then he short pit Cody by about a lap or two. So not too surprising to see Bridger pop out back in front of Cody Welch after the pit stops, given the short pit. But because of that, I do believe Cody Welch will probably find it an easier time to get by Bridger whenever he feels like it during this run. He might let it run for about 5-10 laps and just make sure the tires come up to temperature in a good uniform fashion. Make sure he doesn't run out those tires in the first 5 laps, because the first 5 are honestly the most important in terms of tire saving. So I could see him riding behind Bridger for a few laps, but him having a little bit fresher tires, I think he's going to have a whole lot easier time getting that lead this time by.
Possibilities there for him to have a bit of an easier time, but obviously you got to also keep an eye out for Benjamin Lacey, who's about 1.3 seconds back the road as Kilroy will finally come on down the pit road. That'll cycle most of your field back through and onto the lead laps. That's why we saw so many cars a lap down, was because Kilroy have been in front of them all. Now you can see one by one drivers will get their laps back. Not sure if Turnbull, Britt, or Nickerson will. Interesting enough for Nick Nickerson, he was the driver that we had seen on pole. He had a pit road penalty, stopped in the box for 54 seconds. He is guaranteed down the lap.
Man, that is so awful for Nick Nickerson. We saw him running in the top 5, top 10 for the majority of this race here in the first stint. And, you know, pit road penalties can kill you. But I do want to point out Dalton Kilroy. I was talking about whether you're going to do a 2-stop or a 3-stop. Dalton Kilroy's committed to the 2-stop. He ran 47 laps on that tank of gas, more than enough, putting him a couple laps over the good for the next couple of stints, so he doesn't have to save as much. And I do believe he came down on that early caution so that he could fill up that tank of fuel and make sure that he can make it the extra couple laps. So I'm willing to bet Dalton Kilroy's going for the strategy play and just hoping that this race runs green all the way through.
And he only took 2 tires, 12 seconds in the box.
Wow. I'm so confused with some of the strategy plays.
There's a few cars that went for that. I know Kilroy is among them. We talked about Kevin Foster being one of the drivers, and actually those are the only 2 I see here that opt to take that. Only one set of right side tires would be the optimal guess. If you take left sides here, we'd have to have a talk about that after the race. But
yeah,
we looked at battles elsewhere out this field. And part of the one for the race lead, got this one between Bassinger, Hagee, Hayes, and Karsten. This is for 15 through 17. You saw Hilbrand's Leaky Hausman just a little while on your screens, and you got Moreno, Holland, Paulson, and Hart all under a blanket as well. This is the fight for 4th through 7th. I can tell you what, the fights have spaced out, but they haven't settled down at all.
Yeah, no kidding. Anywhere that we see a little gaggle of cars, I mean, it's been hard racing, hard side-by-side, pinching, going down into the corners. So, you know, I was about to mention, you know, we were talking about the little faith on the first caution, but we've ran a good 45, 47 laps green now. And while everybody is, you know, they're fighting hard whenever they do get side by side, you did mention that they're pretty spaced out. And I don't want to announce or jinx this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if we run green the rest of the way.
You know what? I'm going to gamble. We're in Vegas. Why not? I'm going to agree with you. Typically, I like to go opposites of what the co-commentator likes to do, just because, you know, hey, that way at least one of us is right. We'll put it all on black this time around, though, and we'll hope this race doesn't go with another yellow flag in the midst of it.
That's what I like to hear.
Far.
I love to hear the faith. We only had one of us having faith last week. Now we've got double faith power going out to the field here at Las Vegas.
Yellows in 80 laps.
Yeah, I definitely can't blame you. And I don't have you or blame you for not having faith after the first caution. I mean, don't get me wrong, if we get a caution and they get bunched up like crazy again, I think it's going to kick off like a big string of cautions. But with them kind of separated here, I mean, I say separated, and we've got a nice 5-car battle for the 15th place position here coming through turns number 2, coming out of the corner. Looks like Hunter Karsten's trying to get to the outside of Stephen Hayes coming off the corner. Can't quite get it done. Stephen Hayes is going to hold down to that position, but Eddie Hagge going to look to the inside here for the 15th place on Bassinger. Can he get the move done going through 3 and 4? He's got that inside line working on the bottom. Doesn't quite have the momentum coming off the corner. Hagge's going to try to go up and maybe side draft the 14 going into the corner. He actually gives him a pretty wide berth going into the corner. Not too much of a side draft. Just going down to the bottom of the racetrack. Not too much of a arc going into the corner. He gets just a little bit tight. Can't hold the bottom of the racetrack. Loses the nose just a little bit. And that's going to allow the 14 of Bassinger to clear him for 15.
Stan Hausman is back into pit road, and he is going to be stopping in his box. This is an interesting call, and he's taken behind the wall, so Hausman is done early on. That's a big shame for the driver that was looking to have a solid season debut, but he's now going to be down and out of the race. He's the second driver to do so is Joshua Kane, has also retired. That's about 15 laps to go. Way! Oh, boy. That was Rick Thompson getting a bit crossed up on the apron. Marasco doesn't know where to go, and neither does Ricky Thorpe Jr. trying to find a way through.
Yeah, Marasco had thrown a huge block there for 9th place on Thorpe Jr. coming down the front stretch this time by. Now they're side by side coming out of Ford. Almost a little bit of contact. Michael Thorpe just pulling off, getting a little bit loose coming out of the corner. Able to save that machine going down into turn number 1. Still side by side, perfectly even going into the corner. Michael Thorpe Jr. on the inside trying to hold that white line, trying to get his left side tires on that paint. As much grip as he possibly can down there on the bottom. Comes back up, looks like to side draft the one just a little bit, but he's just going to have to back in line and then dive it down deep into turn number 3.
Thorpe is going to work to the inside of Marasco. Tracks up, and here comes the crossover from Marasco trying to battle back. Not going to be able to get there. Got that fight, picking up for the race lead as well. Cody Welch still trying to chase after Bridger Olsen. He's been able to get there, hasn't been able to get around, and there is a big difference when it comes to catching and passing. Connie Gibson will file the pit road for the second time tonight. Olsen trying to set up an over-under on him.
Yeah, Olsen has just kind of been hounding, Welch has been hounding Olsen here ever since they come out of pit road. Hasn't been able to get the move done. Hasn't done anything too sporadic, though, to try to get the lead. He's just kind of running a very clean, steady line, trying to get a little bit of clean air there. You saw he dipped out to the outside, cut back to the inside as Olsen started slipping up the corner, making sure he has clean air on the front of that nose for as long as he possibly can. Lets the gap extend out just a little bit. Again, he enters a little bit high from Olsen and then tries to cut back down. Gets that left front tire into the clean air as Olsen slides up. Gets a good run coming out of turn number 4, and he's all over the back bumper of Bridger Olsen going into turn number 1.
Trying to close up to the back of the Honeybee Chevrolet, but again, not able to make that move down into the opening corner. He tried for it, but when there's the, okay, that's not the line. You saw him straddle that apron there, and got on set on the transition. That's checking him up. Here comes Benjamin Lacey, who's been silently working his way into the ring.
Yeah, Benjamin Lacey has a really, really fast Ford Mustang under him tonight. I mean, he was really hounding the leaders on the first run. Kind of had a little bit of contact with Moreno that may have set him back just a little bit. May have just kind of scared him a little bit to where he couldn't, I don't know, maybe he had a little bit of anxiety after that little issue and couldn't quite get the reins back under him. But ever since the pit stop, he has been running fast lap after fast lap. Bridger Olsen actually gets a little loose coming out of turn number 2. That's going to give the opportunity to Cody Welch here entering turn number 3. He looks to the inside, dives it down deep into the corner. Bridger Olsen pitching tight. Really tight on his door, going through the corner. The 85 didn't quite get down to the white line, and they're going to come off side by side off of turn number 4.
Just like Auto Club, give an inch, take a mile. And Cody Welch is looking to take the race lead away. Down the inside into turn number 1. Benjamin Lacey trying to throw his hat in the ring as well. But again, Welch bobbles it off the apron. He'll push wide up the circuit in turn 2 to the Nella straightaway and give the race lead back to Bridger Olsen. Welch had it secured there, but he just got a bit too greedy with that apron.
And Cody Welch had the clean air going down into turn number 3, but Bridger Olsen just cuts his nose off going through the middle of the corner, and that gives Benjamin Lacey a huge run on the outside of the racetrack. Just about gets to the outside of Bridger Olsen coming through the front stretch, but just couldn't get it done. But he's still on the outside of Cody Welch for second place.
And now look at the drive that Welch has got. Gets back underneath Bridger Olsen, and Benjamin Lacey with a front row seat. He's going to turn Welch. Welch sideways. Here's Bridger Olsen. Can they save it? They somehow do, and we keep things pointed in the right direction.
Oh my goodness, what crazy racing for the race lead. I couldn't even tell who was at fault for that contact. It was just tight, hard racing between the three of them. And unfortunately, two of them go off just a little bit off the racetrack and lose a chunk of time to the new race leader, Benjamin Lacey.
Lacey came out of left field, and we'll get a view on what happened here. This is working down through turn numbers 1 and 2. I think Welch may have come up and tried to pinch them in, as we'll get a look. And a bit of both, bit of that code, I think, as well. As look at the wheel work there for Bridger Olsen to wrestle that car back underneath them. That's the closest we've come yet to a caution flag ever since lap number 1. And now we've got a fierce dogfight for second on back because of it.
I also want to point out what a recovery from Francesca Moreno. I mean, he had so many issues there towards the end of the first stint, fell all the way back to about the 15th place position, and he is now working on the outside of Cody Welch for P4. And last week's winner, Ricky Hart, looking to the inside of former race leader Bridger Olsen. Can he get the job done? Going into turn number 3, drives it in deep. Bridger Olsen puts it hard on his door, and Ricky's going to get just a little bit tight, have to get out of the throttle just a little bit, and Olsen's going to keep the position coming off the corner. But that's going to open up the door for Francesca Moreno coming off of turn number 4.
Oh my goodness, these guys again, they don't know when to chill. They have two settings, off and high, and that's exactly the way we like to see it, working around turn 2 to the back straightaway. All of this, by the way, in the first half of the race. We're still 3 laps from halfway.
My goodness, and we're still 2 pit stops away from everybody's got to take 2 more pit stops to even get to the finish. So for them to still need 2 pit stops, oh man, Cody Welch cuts the nose off of Ricky Hart. Had to cut myself off there. That was such an aggressive move from Cody Welch getting to the inside of Francesca Moreno coming off of turn number 4, and somehow he gets a 2-for-1 after that incredible move, and he sets his sights back on Bridger Olsen for second.
Bridger Olsen trying to see if he can chase or stay out in front of Cody Welch now, as I think this battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh is finally going to settle down somewhat. Big Red working off of turn 4, the Camry trying to keep it up in front of Ricky Hart Jr. Derek Paulson, Rick Thompson in the fray as well, and that will close out this opening pack. And you got other battles up and down throughout the field as well. Here's Brian Dees once again trying to get around Michael Thorpe Jr. You got Holland right in the fray as well. So while all of this has been going on, by the way, you've seen a lot of green and red on the timing boards. That is still battles raging on all throughout this field. And we have this little thing we can do. We can show you not just the gas to lead, but the gas to each individual driver. Look at how many battles we have going on. You can't cover everything.
This league has proven to be just super, super competitive. I mean, Auto Club last week was absolutely insane. That had a surprise winner on strategy after it was so tight at the front of the field the entire race. And all the way through, I mean, this is a, 65-lap green flag run?
Whoa! Ricky Hart Jr., sorry to interrupt, way down the racetrack on the back straightaway. Getting punted sideways, I believe.
My goodness, and we've had some crazy saves, too. That's one included, and we saw 2 of the leaders just about get taken out earlier in the event. I mean, these drivers are putting it all on the line here, and like you mentioned, we're just now nearing halfway.
As, well, this was the lap of 4, so we'll try again to get a view on this one here. Oh, he's got loose by himself. Tried up the racetrack, got into the 76, and again, what a save for Hart. Chased that Ford Mustang down to the bottom of the racetrack and is just able to wrestle it underneath him again. And that falls in back to about the number 10 spot. And this for another battle pack on the back straightaway. Hayes, Diamond, Hillbrands, Karsten, I believe Greenwell. Yeah, it is Greenwell up in the mix of this one as well. This is for, I want to say 17th, back to about 21st.
I mean, they're just racing all over the race. I mean, there's just racing everywhere. Stephen Hayes trying to look to the outside of Diamond here going into turn number 1, but it looks like Hillbrands is actually going to get to the bottom of him, going through the corner, trying to pick up that 19th position. Oh, man, Stephen Hayes really pinched him coming out of the corner. They're still side by side going down into turn number 3, and what a good recovery from Tony Hillbrands. He was the one that spun on the first lap. This is actually the car that spun him, even though it was no fault to Stephen Hayes, but a great recovery from Tony Hillbrands to restart at the back of the pack on lap number 3, and by halfway, he is back into the top 20.
Ty Marasco's back into pit road. He was one of the guys that kicked off our first run of pit stops earlier on. Now the question is, can he go to the end from here? I think he would still have to stop once again, surely.
Oh, he absolutely has to stop one more time. All these guys are going to have to come down and stop one more time, except for Kilrow, and there might have been 1 or 2 other drivers that were close. I don't remember exactly who they were that pitted the latest, but the 3 drivers that stayed out the latest absolutely have a chance. But I just remember Dalton Kilrow because he was the one that pitted at lap 47. He did as much as he absolutely could. And, I also want to point out, Benjamin Lacey, it looked like he was easily faster than the 2 leaders before that contact. He had run them down from a good second back. And after that contact, he was the beneficiary and got to about a second and a half in the lead. But Bridger Olson and Cody Welch and Ethan Moreno have all run him down. They're all within a second.
In fact, within 0.3 of a second now, as you can see on the gaps, just how much they're reeling them in. You want to know what the big difference is here? Lap traffic. Lacey's caught the back end of the field, and it has been costing him big time. Bridger Olson has been able to use all of this traffic as a pick, while Lacey's been slowed down, and Cody Welch has been bump drafting Olson on these straights as well, and I love this from Cody Welch. He wants to fight these guys. There's no doubt about that. But he knows when he has a chance to catch the lead. Oh, my goodness. Thompson, look out! Back up into traffic as he's going to get the 76 back underneath him. But, again, oh, my goodness. Cody Welch, again, he's trying to work with these guys. He's not trying to fight them. He wants to go for the win. That's when he's going to start to battle it out.
If we didn't broadcast the Beer League on Wednesday nights, I would have called that the worst rejoin I've ever seen. But it was probably like 20th on the list because of that other league that we broadcast. But a good save there from, I believe it was the 76 coming through turns number 4. Just gets really, really loose coming out of the corner. Oh, man, he got really tight first and then had to get out of the throttle, had a lot of wheel put into it. Goes through the grass, but, man, what a crazy rejoin. Great job by Turnbull and the 8 machine there of Kevin Foster. I don't know why I can't remember Kevin Foster. But we've got some great side-by-side battling for the second place position coming off of turn number 2. Cody Welch overtakes Bridger Olson after working with him the entire way to get there. And now he's looking to the outside of Benjamin Lacey.
And look out, the 86 car is on fresh rubber here, and he's trying to find his way through to unlap himself, put himself back onto the lead lap here. So again, the aggression is ramping up big time. You got everybody on old tires, some on new tires, and all the while, the battle for the race lead working down in the turn numbers 1 and 2. 3 wide as the 86 going to take a lap back. That was Wilson. And now Foster trying to do the same. As all the while, Cody Welch continues to work the outside of 3 and 4.
Yeah, Cody Welch wasn't able to take his preferred line at the bottom of the racetrack there because of Foster on the new rubber coming through, and he gets just a little loose coming off of the corner. Man, good save from Cody Welch. He's absolutely wheeling that machine, trying to get back up to the back bumper of Benjamin Lacey. Benjamin's the one that kind of got into him, that sparked off that little bit of contact between our top 3. Luckily, they were all able to save it, and now Cody Welch is all over his back bumper for the race lead.
Gap about a 1/10 of a second. You see the run. That is just pure draft, not even overspeed with a different line coming off these corners. So you can tell Cody Welch knows how to work this draft, and he is doing so to a perfection at the moment as he continues to work around the front straightaway. And all the while, Moreno is in a fight of his own. He's trying to keep the likes of Olson and Paulson at bay. This is all the fight for the number 3 spot on the racetrack, and it's costing them a bit of time now. You see Welch just barely off to stage left. It's a bit of a fluctuation at the moment, as if they're catching or losing the top 2.
Yeah, we haven't really talked too much about Derek Paulson throughout the course of this event, but he's just ran quietly inside the top 10 the entire time. I mean, I think he's been in the top 10 for the entirety of the 78 laps we've ran, except for maybe during the green flag pit stops. But he has quietly found himself onto the back of this lead pack, on the back of the lead train, just kind of stalking there, waiting for other people to make mistakes. As I say that, Benjamin Lacey gets just a little bit loose coming out of turn number 2. Cody Welch down on his inside. They're completely side by side going down into turn number 3. Cody Welch dives it in deep down into the corner. Benjamin Lacey cannot pinch him going in, and Cody Welch is going to take the lead coming off in turn number 4.
Cody Welch to the race lead. Here comes Ethan Fonseca Moreno trying to make a run for second place as well. Will Lacey battle back? I think he gave him a bit of a shot there. Holland is in the pit road, as is Hart and Britt. We got a few drivers kind of having some moments, and Curtis Yancey taking it to the grass.
Oh, man, that's what my little oath was for. I saw him get crazy sideways and start lawn mowing through the grass. I just could not believe that he was able to keep that car straight going through the dirt. Great job from him. But Moreno now, the rebound from 15th position, now all the way up to second place. Ethan Moreno is having himself a heck of a day.
He saw the look on Moreno hopping across the legends over there. I think he spent more time airborne than he did on the actual ground there. Bridger Olson, by the way, bails out of this battle. He'll go to pit road.
Yeah, we're getting into that time where everybody's starting to take that pit stop. But it is a little, I don't know, it's a little strange. I don't think anybody can make it from here. We've still got, 55 laps to go. So, no, nobody can make it from here at all. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see a couple more drivers pit a little bit earlier and really split this second half of the race into more even splits. They're really running the fuel tank out almost all the way here on this run. But actually, as I say that, Moreno's starting to come down here on lap number 81 from P2.
So Moreno is down and into pit road, and now the big ticket question, Can he come out in front of Cody Welch and Benjamin Lacey? Oh, we saw one driver smoke the tires. That was Lawson. I'm not sure if that was an unsafe pit entry, but you saw, I think he may have kind of breached the cone limits. We'll see what this is going to mean for him. As more are all down and in for service. Here comes
Cody
Welch and Lacey.
Cody Welch was crazy sideways whenever he got onto the apron. I mean, goodness, every time that I'm looking at somebody different, I just feel like I see a new crazy save from somebody. These drivers have done an amazing job keeping this race green, and Benjamin Lacey did a great job closing that gap, getting on the pit road.
You can see on the racetrack, working around through 1 and 2 on the track map, bottom right of your screen, that is Ethan Fonseca Moreno in what we believe to be the fight for the net race lead. The one that's kind of sort of grayed out down at the bottom, that is our good friend, Benjamin Lacey at the moment. Sorry, that's Cody Welch that we're seeing on the bottom left. So this is going to be the fight as we work our way up and out of pit road. Green for Welch, gray for Moreno. It's going to get tight here as they work their way through turn numbers 1 and 2, but I do believe they managed to find themselves to get out in front. Beat the Fonseca Moreno. Here comes Moreno working through turn numbers 3 and 4. Can he pick up the race lead onto the undercut strategy? He's going to get around Lacey. He's not going to get around Welch, though. And Welch will maintain the net race lead as we work back around through 3 and 4.
Man, I mean, the pit strategy just on the undercuts, the overcuts from, oh man, Moreno actually tags the wall coming out of turn number 4. That's going to kill just a little bit of speed. Man, every time I want to talk about something, somebody does something crazy or just about pounds the fence down. Good recovery from Moreno, though, and he's going to look to the inside. He is going to be a little bit faster than Welch here for a couple laps, I believe, just because he's had time to get those tires up to temperature. But, man, he is pushing out of these corners.
Greenwell looking to get tight as well with Stephen Hayes, and right behind them you've got the 14 of Christopher Bassinger that's kind of getting his head into the ring as well. So it's, again, an absolute dogfight up and down throughout this field. Dees and Diamond are going to find their way down and through pit road. Dalton Kilroe picks up the lead. We're still waiting on him to come down to pit road. He's one of the last cars we need to come down to pit road. But Cody Welch maintains his run in the race lead and now critically has about 1 lap fresher tires than Moreno does. That doesn't mean Moreno's going to let him off easily.
Oh, absolutely not. Moreno's all over his back bumper entering turn number 3, and they're actually running down the race leader, Dalton Kilroe. All these drivers only need to pit one more time. So this is technically for the race lead as Kilroe's coming up. He's going into turn number 1 right now. But, man, Cody Welch has Moreno all over his back bumper going into turn number 1. He's looking to his inside. Cody's going to cut off the nose of Moreno going into the corner, give him a little dosage of dirty air, but Moreno's going to have the draft going down the back.
Moreno still trying to close on up to the back of Cody Welch. The MF Racing Designs number 85, Chevy Camaro, continues to work with it as further behind, Hayes, Bassinger, and Greenwell. Still locked in their side-by-side battle as well for about 14th through to 16th. A bit further up the road, Richard Holland, Derek Paulson, and Eddie Haggy are also line astern for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I was thinking we were missing somebody for the race lead. Bridger Olson looks to have gotten a speeding penalty here on the last pit stop. He was running in the top 4, and he has fallen all the way back to 25th, 1 lap down. So we have lost a contender as Cody Welch takes the race lead from Dalton Kilroe.
Dalton Kilroe will officially fall back to 3rd as Cody Welch and Moreno will pick up the numbers 1 and 2 spots. Benjamin Lacey will work for 3rd up to the top side as well. And I think that could settle this fight for the race lead for a little while here at least. Bassinger, Greenwell, and Hayes all still kind of locked in a fight of their own. I tell you what, it's not a race that's ever slowed down even for a minute since we got back to racing conditions.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, all 5 laps of this green flag run have been absolutely crazy. The race for the lead hasn't gotten any bigger than a 1.5 seconds. And that was just because the couple leaders got together and 2 of them fell back. But then they worked together and got back up to Benjamin Lacey, who was the leader at that point. And we've still got a tight 3-car battle for the lead and a car on a little bit alternate strategy in Dalton Kilroe in 4th place. I do think he kind of hurt himself with that 2-tire call earlier. I think he would have ran a lot faster in the first stint and might have actually still been ahead of our leaders at this point had he done that. But he's absolutely going to come down pit road here within, I'd say, 2 or 3 laps and take his final pit stop. So we'll have to see just how fast Dalton Kilroe will be and if he can make up any time on our race leaders after the pit stop.
Kilroy, in fact, is in the midst of this battle now for 4th, 5th, and 6th as he'll have Ricky Hart Jr. power through around the high side. And Holland going to go with him. And Kilroy's pitting this time around as he was one of the few guys who was still waiting on the pit. He last pitted on lap 47, so he did almost stretch it to 50 laps. And he'll work his way down and into pit road. And that will officially close out the second round of pit stops for the rest of this field. Now I think the last question now we've got now is when do we get the final run?
That's the thing. I feel like most of these guys are going to have to split it in half, right? I feel like that would be the smartest call. But at the same point, you might just want to run it all the way out and just take gas only. You know, if your competition is taking 2 or 4 tires, it's going to take them, 10 to 15 seconds, depending on how many tires they put on. And if you're just taking gas only, you only need a splash of gas to get to the end of this race. So you're probably going to be in the box from 4 to 5 seconds. Is that worth it? I don't know. I feel like we're probably going to see the 2-tire strategy come into play like we saw with Ricky Hart, who we're looking with right now. He took the 2-tire strategy last week, and it paid off for him. He won the race. I think we're going to see something similar here today.
We saw as well Ricky Hart Jr. just drop back to the 6th position as well, and a bit further down the road. Rick Thompson will lose out to Austin McGill, who makes a charge on the high side. You've also got battles in the cars that are down a lap. We haven't talked about these guys down here all that much. You mentioned Bridger Olsen getting that speedy penalty earlier on, and it's pretty easy to tell, right? 54 seconds in the box. He's in a fight. Well, he was in a fight. He's just pulled away from a fight between your Poulsen and Nick Nickerson and Ty Marasco. Interesting enough, the number 2 car also found himself down a lap after an identical speed penalty on the first run of pit stops. And Marasco, in his own right, also actually caught a speedy penalty on this last run of pit stops. So isn't it funny how that tends to work out?
That just goes to show how hard all these guys are pushing, right? I mean, you got to find time wherever you can. Oh, man, a tight race for the race lead coming off of turn number 4. Benjamin Lacey and Cody Welch. There's a caution out on the front stretch.
Yeah, someone stopped in the front straightaway, and I believe that to have been Curtis Yancey, and it was. Yancey stopped on the front. He'll scrape along the outside wall to get going, and, well, that's going to close off the battle for the race lead, as this is what happened to Yancey. It looked to be a solo car incident potentially. He's underneath Jacob Locklear. Oh, he got loose! And tank slapped it into the wall.
Man, that was a just about pretty violent accident. I mean, he could have hit that wall a whole lot harder. So honestly, not too terribly bad for Yancey. I mean, he could have been a whole lot worse off after that crazy loose condition coming out of turn number 4. But that really saved Cody Welch. He was about to lose the lead to Benjamin Lacey, and now he's going to get a chance to come down pit road again and take 4 tires, maybe 2. We could still see some strategy play kind of show its head here. And again, like I said, as soon as the caution came out, or I said like 20 or 30 laps ago, as soon as one caution comes out, I think we're going to have a slew of them for the finish of this race.
And I believe on pit strategy, if this does go green, they can go to the end from here now if they save into this yellow, can't they?
Oh, they can. As soon as they fill up the tank here, they are good to go. The fuel mileage was about 41 to 43, and we have just crossed the line for 40 to go.
So all these drivers working their way down into the lane for service. You see the timer is starting to commence as drivers pull into their pit boxes. We'll see who takes 2, who takes 4. Who opts to gamble? Do we see any fuel only? We do see fuel only. Poulsen took fuel only. Welch took fuel only. Hart, Thorpe, pretty much everybody taking fuel only. And I guess that makes sense. They just pitted about, 10 laps ago. Tires won't have too big of an impact at that point.
That's crazy to see so many people do it, though. I wouldn't have expected that many people to take fuel only here. Cody Welch dropping down the leaderboard. Well, it says he's P2, actually. My bad. I thought he fell further than that. But he did take 2 tires. So Cody Welch being on the front row with 2 tires, and Ricky Hart behind him. Did Ricky Hart take 2 tires too? Because he had about a similar amount of time stopping his box. So Ricky Hart might have taken 2, but it was a
fuel only.
Split
you
strategy
can't take
decision.
2 tires in 8 seconds.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I saw Cody Welch did, and he was in 9 seconds, so it was close. I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my goodness, could Ricky get that done in that fast? But as you mentioned, it looks like it's just fuel only for him.
Well, caution flags out for the second time here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we're going to take ourselves a quick jump back. You're watching the High Tide Race League Emma Racing Designs Cup Series in the Viva Las Vegas 202. Derek Poulsen will lead the way as we get set to go back to green flag racing in just a little while at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the High Tide Race League MF Racing Designs Cup Series and the Viva Las Vegas 202. We are one lap left to go before we get set to go racing once again here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's been an action-packed race so far. We've had two cautions now. The first was on lap number 1. We went green all the way to about lap 95. And during that time, we had a lot of near misses, but a whole lot more battling. And we're looking set to see what these last 37 or so will bring us on the restart.
I think we're going to see some crazy racing. We got people on all different types of strategies, and we still have a full fuel run to go. So no telling how these tires are going to pan out, whether you took no tires, 2 tires, or maybe you're towards the back with 4. We're going to have to wait and see what strategy comes to fruition.
Derek Paulson took the lead on the pit stop cycle, was faster than Welch in the box, and he will take us back to the green flag as we drop the hammer and we work around through the front straightaway.
That's going to be a black flag for Derek Paulson. He went way before the restart zone. Oh, yeah.
They don't have a restart zone. It's when the pace car pulls off, it's leader's discretion.
Okay, well, never mind. No black flag for Derek Paulson. I figured they were running the restart zone, but either way, Cody Welch is still hounding him down the back. Cody had a really good run through turns 3 and 4. He has those 2 fresh tires on while Derek Paulson took none. So it's not too surprising that Cody had a good run there, but he's actually getting challenged from Ricky Hart for P2. Looked like Ricky Hart's going to get to the bottom of him, and Michael Thorpe just about got to the side of Benjamin Lacey as they came off of turn number 4.
Oh, that got tight in the run down to turn number 1. Derek Paulson has continued to pull clear of Ricky Hart Jr. You got Thorpe now working for the second place. He's going to get to the back of Hart that time by as he worked the back straight away, and Ricky Hart Jr. will push to the outside line, and that lets Thorpe through to second.
Michael Thorpe is a man on a mission. He's got such a big run coming off of turn number 4, too. He's going to be able to use the draft onto Derek Paulson here down the front stretch, and he might be able to make a move going into turn number 1. He's looking low, kind of ducks back in line. He is looking down to the bottom. He gets to the inside of Derek Paulson going through turns 1, turn 2. He is all the way alongside, coming off the corner. Who gets the better run? They're side by side going down the back.
Working the Nellis ready once again down in the turn number 3. It's a fierce fight up and down all throughout this field. Hunter Karsten has taken a jump back down to pit road instantly enough. So Karsten pulled it off on the racetrack, and he is calling it quits for the night. So Michael Thorpe Jr. will continue to work at Derek Paulson side by side for the race lead. And you've got Welch in the mix. You got Lace trying to put it 3 wide, and let's face it, you'll go all the way back to the 76th. So Thompson looking to go at the pit here for the lead as they nearly hit bang doors off of 2.
Man, Thorpe is trying, and they're 3 wide for second place. Thorpe stuck in the middle of Benjamin Lacey and Cody Welch. Cody on the outside. Looks like he might have a pretty good run coming off the corner, but they are tight coming off at turn number 4. Cody pinches Thorpe down to the bottom of the racetrack. Cody's going to get a good run coming off, and Benjamin Lacey goes all the way down on the apron trying to break the side draft.
Well, just when you think it's over, no sir, it's never over for the High Tide Racing League. One of the most exciting series at this point, I think it's safe to say, that you can find out there on the iRacing service. Lacey gets a little bit loose off of turn number 2 to the Nellis straightaway. You can see all the different lines, though, and that shot right there is fantastic. It shows where all the runs are and who's got how much speed. Welch back to the bottom. He'll power through off of turn number 4.
And he completely cleared Derek Paulson coming off the corner, but Paulson had just a little bit of a run, but it stalls out just a little bit, and Cody's going to be able to clear him going down into turn number 1. He drives it in deep, but Michael Thorpe's looking to his inside going into the corner. It's not going to work out, and Cody Welch is back to the race lead.
Look at Benjamin Lacey down on that bottom side. You've got the 17 of Brian Dees in the phrase. Well, where did Dees come from? I mean, he is, we haven't talked about him a lot in this race, and he seems to just come out of left field as something, but himself into the picture for a race win here.
Man, the two guys that had dominated the race had to pick their way through traffic on that restart just a little bit, Cody Welch and Benjamin Lacey, but it looks like they're going to come out 1-2 after a little bit. If Benjamin Lacey can get by Michael Thorpe for that second place position, he's looking to the inside of him, going through turns number 1 and 2, and he just about gets clear coming off the corner as we're on board with Eddie Hagge.
Yeah, you just saw Hagge going 3 wide with a good chunk of the midfield here. This is all in the battle for 11th place on back, showing that just because we got to fight for the lead doesn't mean we don't have fights elsewhere throughout this race. And you see as well, Hilbrand's fighting back to the top 10 after finding himself turned on just the opening lap of this race. What a recovery drive for the 92.
Oh man, contact going into turn number 1. Benjamin Lacey ships Michael Thorpe Jr. out of the racing groove and into the wall going into turn number 1. And Benjamin Lacey's going to come through into second place, and Michael Thorpe's going to drop all the way back down into the mid-20s.
Credit to Thorpe, he was able to keep that car good, but the question is, how damaged is it? You're right on board, and that car is hurt. He can't turn it at all. He's going to have to come down to pit road. Surely that car is not healthy at all right now, as he has got some kind of problem with the right side of that race car. We'll try to get a look back on what happened here for Ricky Thorpe Jr. coming on down into turn number 1.
Man, I really couldn't quite tell what happened there. It looked like they were just both fighting for the same piece of real estate. Benjamin Lacey might have entered the corner a little late. Michael Thorpe might have entered it a little early. I really couldn't quite tell, but it just looked like they were both going for the same piece of racetrack. And unfortunately, whenever that happens, it's almost always the car on the outside that is on the short end of the stick. But for Benjamin Lacey, he is through to P2. He has no damage on that machine, and he is hounding Cody Welch for our race lead, as Ethan Moreno is now recovered from his poor starting spot down into the 4th position.
Oh boy, Curtis Yancey taking it to the rally cross line. He's going to spin it back up into traffic here, coming into turn number 1, but nobody's behind him, so no yellow flag will keep this race green. Great job on Yancey to keep that car down on the racetrack, as this fight will continue on. And this is what happened to Yancey in the 51 coming off in turn number 4. He just got loose.
Man, turn 4 has been his nemesis today, hasn't it? He's gotten loose here twice in the last couple laps. Good job going. I mean, just dirt tracking down through the grass. And as soon as he got back on that pavement, that thing just ripped around on him. Nothing he could really do at that point. But a really good job to keep that thing out of the wall and keep it running.
Jumping back up to the battle for second on up. Benjamin Lacey trying to make the lunge here to get up and around Cody Welch. They're starting to pull clear from everybody behind, as about a 4/10 of a second gap back to Ethan Fonseca Moreno. But we still got 26 laps to go. There's still so much time for something to go catastrophically wrong in the midst of this field. And along with this, the secondary pack here, which seems to be more aggressive than the first right now.
Don't count out Ethan Moreno, and don't count out the man who spun on lap number 1, Tony Hilbrands. He is up into the P5 position here with 25 laps. Oh, Derek Paulson gets loose right in front of him coming out of turn number 4. I thought he was gone. I thought he was through the grass, and that's going to give P4 to Tony Hilbrands.
Hilbrands will power around the high side. He picks up the 4th position. He's now right back up to where he was before. 9 spots gained on the day for Hilbrands after being dumped on lap number 1. What a drive for Hilbrands, as he'll reach a new high with 24 laps to go, this time by the line. Welch under fire from Lacey.
Benjamin Lacey gets to the inside of Welch coming off at turn number 4. Cody just got a little bit too tight coming out of the corner, and Benjamin Lacey's trying to clear him down on the apron. Cody gives him all the room in the world, and Benjamin Lacey's going to clear going into turn number 1. Cody Welch just has nothing for him going down into the corner.
Well, if ever there was a way to sum up this race, it would be in this statement. Green Flag TV, sacrificing voice boxes for your entertainment since 2022. And I can tell you right now, Lacey is helping to give the sacrifice something to shout for here, as he'll power through to the lead, now clear by 0.3 of a second. Fonseca Moreno back around the top side of Welch.
Man, if my throat is sore on a Tuesday morning, it just means that we had a hell of a race, and this is going to be the second week running that I'm going to wake up with a sore throat on Tuesday. Oh my goodness, the racing we've seen throughout this entire course of this event has been absolutely amazing, as Moreno looks like he's going to make the power move around Cody Welch on the outside to take P2, and now Tony Hilbrands, the man of the hour, on the outside of Cody Welch for P3.
Tony Hilbrands will work around the top side of Cody Welch. Welch is starting to falter. His pace is gone. He's burned it all up, trying to get up and around for the race lead and hang on to it in the early going. And now I think he needs a caution if he wants to get himself back into contention, get that momentum back up and running. Hilbrands still trying to fight the high side. Off in turn numbers 1 and 2, back to vanilla straightaway as the whole field ripping it line to stern, down the back straight into turn number 3, and Hilbrand scrapes the outside wall, entering turn 3 that time by, but he's still going to keep the momentum up on Welch.
Hilbrand's using absolutely all the racetrack, trying to get past the 85 machine. The 85 has dominated most of this race. He has been a contender the entire time, but he is falling through the pack. Hilbrand's just about gets clear going into turn 1, but Cody throws it back down to his inside, entering the corner. Can Tony Hilbrands hold his right rear quarter panel coming off the corner? He does, and they're still side by side going down the back.
Stephen Hayes further behind, trapped in a battle with Ricky Thompson, Sean Britt, as well as Jason Greenwell, working through turn numbers 3 and 4, this time by double file against high-speed pace lap. 20 laps remain in the Viva Las Vegas 202 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and the battles have only just begun.
My goodness, hard racing here for the P9 position between Hayes and Thompson, and even behind them, Sean Britt and Greenwell here for the 11th place position. Oh my goodness, they're just side by side all throughout the racetrack, and even the top 5, the top 6 are all just about under a blanket at this point as we see hard racing throughout the entire field.
Working back to the front straightaway, there you can see Lacey, who has not been able to break away with the lead as much as they thought he might have. Got one car turned to pit road. Austin McGill couldn't make it to the end. He'll pit in the back portion of this field. Remember, a good chunk of lap traffic here, they ended up staying out under that latest caution flag so they could get a lap back. They're all still short on field. They all still can't make it, and we're going to be seeing a lot of them pitting here in the next 3 to 5 laps.
Yeah, for sure, everybody that took that wave around is still going to have to pit one more time. They really needed that caution, but man, we see tight racing still between Hayes and Britt down in 3 and 4, and they have a huge gaggle behind them. We have 7 cars under a blanket for the 9th place position.
Sean Britt still working the bottom side, trying to let Stephen Hayes know he's not going to let him get back down to that low groove where he desperately still needs to get. Greenwell pushes up, and he's going to slide to the bottom, and he'll give up a huge chunk of time. And as this field, again, it does not know when to quit.
As we're looking at this tight battle, Tony Hilbrands has now put it to the bottom of Ethan Moreno for 2nd place. Hilbrand has come all the way from the back of the pack on lap number 1, and now he's fighting for P2 with 15 laps to go.
And Cody Welch starting to get a bit antsy as well. Remember, all this, though, every single lap they're fighting side by side like this, it is allowing Benjamin Lacey to pull clear with the lead up in front. So Lacey is loving this behind, especially with so few laps left to go. Hilbrand's going to wash up. Welch puts it 3 wide on the bottom for 2nd, and Hilbrand's going to bail out from the middle.
And Welch is still side by side with Moreno, just barely. He's got his nose to his bumper, but he is going to have to concede the position unless he just dives it in really deep going into the corner. He's going to try it, but Moreno is going to dive it in just as deep. He's going to hold on to the P2 position as Cody Welch is starting to come back to life.
Man, you know what these guys need to really do? They need to stop battling each other. They need to start working together. We saw it work so effectively earlier in this race when Welch was starting to push Richard Olson. Look at how quickly they were able to run down the race leader. He needs to do that now with Moreno so they can get up to Lacey and start fighting them for the lead. If they keep duking it out like this, they're never going to catch him.
For sure, if he can just push him up to the race lead, you just have no idea what can happen. And, you know, he stayed glued to his back bumper through the front stretch there, and they actually caught the race leader by 2/10.
There we
They're
go.
stuck in the draft, and they're getting a huge bump draft down the back. They're cutting into that lead every single time that they go down a freaking straightaway. They are just lined up, nose to tail, trying to catch our leader of Benjamin Lacey.
Benjamin Lacey trying to maintain his run up in the race lead as Richard Olson files the pit road. He couldn't make it to the end of this race. Behind a closing Ethan Fonseca Moreno. The writing's on the wall for Benjamin Lacey and his gap. His run to the lead might come to a crashing end here before too long. Moreno trying to work everything he's got with Welch. They've caught the leaders. Tell you what, once again, it's like I mentioned earlier, that's why I love Welch's strategy. He knows when he has to fight and when he's got to help, and right now, he's helping.
Oh, you say that, but Ethan Moreno gets a little tight coming out of turn number 4, and Cody Welch puts it to his inside, and it looks like he's going to take the 2nd place position going down into turn number 1. He clears Moreno going into the corner, and now he has his sights set to Benjamin Lacey.
Is it enough, though? Will Moreno also be willing to help out Cody Welch? But he saw how much they were to gain. They lost almost a 1/10 of a second that time by when Welch made the pass. Moreno not going to look for a move this time by, but look at that outside line he's taking. That tells me he's trying to set up a move here instead of trying to help out Welch on the bottom. If he can set up a run and give Welch a shove down the front straightaway or even the back straightaway, we could see something here. Right now, the gap is stagnated. It's not shrinking, but plus side, it's not growing either.
I think Cody Welch fell through the pack at the beginning of this run just so that he could save tires a little bit. I mean, he fell all the way back to about 5th place, and he has just picked his way back up to 2nd place and closing in on our race leader. He's picked up a 1/10 of a second in the last half lap.
All of this with just 11 laps left to go. Stephen Hayes letting Kevin Foster through down to the bottom with the number 10 spot, while Hillbrands and Hagee will go side by side. This is the fight for 4th on the racetrack. So the top 3 now started to pull a bit further clear as Welch continues to reel in the gap little by little, inch by inch. And we'll get back to all of that in a moment. We'll cut back to where the side-by-side action is, and there is a lot of it still. Mitch Diamond trying to get up and around Greenwell, while up the road, Bassinger trying to fend off Ricky Hart Jr. And up the road, Foster still trying to get around Hayes as well.
And I want to sing Eddie Hagee's praises too. We mentioned Tony Hillbrand's coming all the way from the back. Eddie Hagee started 29th. He was 3 cars from the back of this field on lap 0, right? I mean, he started just as far back as Hillbrand's after his incident, and he has worked his way all the way up to the back bumper of Hillbrand's for the P4 spot.
24 positions gained for the driver out of Annapolis, and he is going to continue to make that drive work. It might be, he could still go and get a few more here before the end of this race. We've got, though, just 10 laps to go. Can Cody Welch catch and overtake Benjamin Lacey? That is the big ticket question as it stands. The top 3 are under a blanket of 0.2 of a second, but it's a lot to ask for these guys to go for that pass. Foster drops 2 as they're 3 wide down to the turn number 1.
Man, Welch tried that outside line. I thought it was going to work, but he doesn't quite get there as we're looking at Stephen Hayes trying to make the inside work, trying to get out of that dirty air from the car in front of him, the 14 machine of Bassinger. But that opens the door for Kevin Foster to look to his inside in turn number 3. This is for the 11th place spot. As Foster gets a little tight, they make a little bit of contact going through the corner. That ships Stephen Hayes up the track. He's going to have to get out of the gas coming out of the corner, and they're going to be side by side down the front.
You can never breathe. I think that's the best way to put it. We have not been able to breathe, not even once here. And it's the way we like to see it as Foster again has the bobble, and that lets Thompson through. Back on the top shelf, you'll see the big red number 28 machine trying to catch up to his teammate, as now Ricky Hart Jr. will try to slice through as well. Jacob Locklear, Paul Wilson, the battle of their own at the moment. And Mitch Diamond is up 12 positions in his own right, trying to see if he can push his ticket further forward towards the top 15.
And I'll tell you what, there's a good thing there's 2 of us, because if there was just one, we would not be able to speak at this point. I mean, there would just be there'd be no way. There's just been too much action all night. I thought it couldn't get any better than Auto Club whenever it went green, but Las Vegas has taken it up a notch. These guys have remained clean and respectful. Only 2 cautions on the night so far, knock on wood. Oh man, as soon as I say it, Stephen Hayes, man, he puts it on the door of Thompson there on the inside in turn number 4, and he costs Thompson just a little bit of speed going down the front stretch as Kevin Foster is able to take advantage.
Tony Hillbrand's falling back to Eddie Hagee as well, as I think the gap has started to only grow at this point in time. Benjamin Lacey turning on the afterburners, trying to pull clear of Cody Welch as Hillbrand's working to the top. You've got Yancey down on the low side, and Yancey, remember, laps down in this battle, so he has no stake in this. So I would hope that Yancey will pull down to the inside and let these guys fight it out amongst themselves by the time we get down to that final lap. But look at the gap now that Benjamin Lacey has built up with just 5 laps left to go. I don't think Welch can run that down at this point in time. He got trouble for Marasco cutting across the grass.
Oh, let's see what happens whenever he gets back on the track. Wow, really good job from Marasco. We saw Yancey earlier, as soon as he got back on the pavement, just completely ripped that thing around. But Marasco did a great job there. As soon as he got on the pavement, it just kept the same line that he was taking. So great job from the driver of the 1 to make sure that that did not become a worse situation than what it was.
What was that now? What, the 4th, 5th time that we've seen a car fire through the infield grass like that?
At least. Oh man, this race has just been absolutely amazing. And Cody Welch, you know, he was starting to drop back a little bit, but he's starting to ease his way back into the battle with Benjamin Lacey for the race.
Caution is out!
Oh!
This
changes everything.
Rick Thompson's been dumped on the front straightaway, and we got a car scraping along the top side of 3 and 4, and Michael Thorpe Jr.'s been put in the wall.
Well, that might have been the commentator curse.
Oh,
I literally
boy.
did just say knock on wood, though, so I was hoping it wouldn't happen. But
That's a green white checker finish now. This is overtime.
Ooh. I think most of these guys still have a set of tires, though, right? So I could see a couple guys coming in and putting on 4 freshies and giving it a run for their money here at the end. This could turn into quite the show for the race win.
trying to get a look on what happened to Rick Thompson here. This is going to be, whoa, huge hit. First to the outside wall. So that was half a lap prior to all of this. And then working around to the front straightaway, Rick Thompson then, well, he can't turn, and I think he realized he got loose off the corner. He can't control that well, and he's going to spin it around. That's what caused this yellow flag. Here comes Michael Thorpe Jr. Now, what happened to put the 34 car into the outside wall? Oh, was it a rejoin from Thompson potentially? Oh, no, he got, was that Thompson?
Yeah, it was, coming off the grass.
No.
I think he had that issue I was talking about that Yancey had. As soon as he got back on the pavement, it just ripped him around to the right. I want to say, I mean, that's unfortunate if that's what happened, but man, at the end of the day, you do have to put that down to a kind of shoddy rejoin there to kind of take Thorpe out of the running. But Thorpe was already, I believe, a lap down at that point. He had that issue earlier, so luckily it didn't take out a contender at this point, but it's still rough to see that.
Well, there you saw the main incident. Ricky Hart Jr. is the one that had this go wrong when he found himself slapping the outside wall. And wow, the 3 car just barely able to get around this as well. So a few close calls up and down throughout the field then, as here he is working his way back to the racetrack. And, oh, man.
Yeah, that was bad.
Gosh.
That was a tough rejoin. He turned it right in the middle of the grass, and after he turned it right, he couldn't get the thing straightened back to the left and just entered the track at like a 60-degree angle. That was tough. I hate that for Thorpe. This is going to be a pretty crazy onboard just to see his car stop in front of him while he's going 185 miles an hour down the front stretch.
And you can't react to that, right? Because you got that pillar in the way, and
yeah, there's no chance.
Wow, heavy shot. Credit to Thorpe. Kept it up and along the outside wall. Want to get a look on board with Samuel Lawson and what he saw throughout all of this. So this is all going to be working around to the front straightaway here. Lawson D coming down to pits. Heads up. Oh! Ooh.
He had no idea where Thompson was going to go, and I don't blame him. I mean, Thompson was all over the place at that point, so I don't blame Lawson for having a hard time getting through there, excuse me. But honestly, good job from him. I don't think he had any contact, and if he did, it was really minor. So good job from Thompson. I believe, I don't think he got the lucky dog, actually. He's still 1 lap down. I think that went to Bridger Olson. So Bridger might be able to put on 4 freshies, and we'll see where he can come from 20th place.
Well, caution now for the 3rd time tonight, and could be the final time as we get set for a green-white checkered finish. We'll take a step back, and we'll be back for the restart. You're watching the High Tide Race League MMA Racing Designs Cup Series in the Viva Las Vegas 202 on Green Flag TV. Entering turn numbers 3 and 4, attempt 1 of 3 at an overtime finish. Cody Welch on the outside, Benjamin Lacey on the inside. 2 laps to settle it unless we get a caution, then we reset and try it again. Pace car gonna pull into pit road this time by 3 miles of racing left to go. Green flag out this time by.
Benjamin Lacey gets a pretty decent jump there on the restart. He's going to clear both of the 2 guys behind him. And the best thing that he can see is Moreno and Welch side by side in his mirror. As long as one of them doesn't get cleared through turns 1 and 2, he could have a clean shot to victory. But Cody Welch is sticking it on the outside of Moreno. Oh, Moreno gets a little loose. They've got contact through 1 and 2. And Cody Welch gets put into the wall just a little bit. And Tony Hilbrands comes out in the 2nd position.
This is golden for Benjamin Lacey. He's now clear by about 5 car lengths down to turn numbers 3 and 4. Hilbrands working the bottom. Lacey hightailing the way with no competition. He'll take the white flag.
Benjamin Lacey has drove an absolutely exceptional race. He came from about 7th place on that restart beforehand whenever he took 2 tires. He was running 1 and 2 with Cody Welch the entire race, and now he has got a huge gaggle of cars behind him, but he has a nice gap to 2nd place as he's going down the backstretch for the final time.
Working the back straightaway. What a night it has been for Benjamin Lacey as he will work his way through turn numbers 3 and 4. Benjamin Lacey outlasts the rest. He will take his first win of the season, picking it up here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
My goodness, and we actually had a tight battle for 3rd place. I was selfishly rooting for Tony Hilbrands to get that P3 so we could talk to him after that crazy drive, but he got beat out by just a couple hundredths of a second from Sean Britt. But Benjamin Lacey, what an exceptional drive from the driver of the number 7 Ford Mustang. Wow, I mean, what a race from all these guys in the field. Only 3 cautions on the whole of the evening after we had a pretty rough one towards the middle of Auto Club, and they came back with an absolutely amazing show all the way throughout the field.
Congratulations all around for the number 7 Ford Mustang as Benjamin Lacey works to the front straightaway, and at the end of a trying night, he will be the one to set Las Vegas alight. He'll burn it down on the front straightaway.
Well, I was kind of hoping he wasn't going to go through the grass. It kind of ruined the first little burnout, but now he's burning it down. Let's see how we can rate his burnout here. He's doing a pretty good job now. We're going to forget that little first bit where he just took it through the grass, and we'll just judge it from here on out. But Benjamin Lacey, man, can't say enough about his performance. He ran towards the top 5 all night. Started in the 4th position and just, I mean, put on a clinic here tonight to be able to lead as many laps as he did. He only really had only had a couple competitors, but man, there were so many people that were fast throughout the race. I thought it was either going to be Benjamin Lacey or Cody Welch that would take the dub, but man, Hilbrands and Moreno really came in strong towards the end of this race, and I thought maybe they would get a little bit more of a challenge, but Benjamin Lacey was able to hold them all off.
Well, at the end of the night, it is Benjamin Lacey to take up the race win, and we will look down at your official post-race results here tonight from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where it is Lacey once again to take the race win. Cody Welch picks it up in 2nd. Sean Britt will finish out the podium down in 3rd. Tony Hilbrands was in 4th with Brian Dees in 5th. Ethan Fonseca Moreno will be in 6th with Eddie Hackey in 7th. Ricky Hart Jr. in 8th. Derek Paulson was in 9th, and Kevin Foster rounds out a tight fight for that final spot inside the top 10.
Richard Holland brings it home 11th. Christopher Bassinger 12th. Jason Greenwell 13th. David Leakey 14th. Dalton Kilrow 15th. Mitch Diamond brings it home 16th. Stephen Hayes 17th. Jacob Locklear 18th. 19th place was Paul Wilson in 20th. Bridger Olson.
Moving on down to the field, you got Austin McGill in 21st. The first car 1 lap down. Then came Nick Nickerson, your pole sitter with the speedy penalty. Finds himself finishing this race 1 lap down. Samuel Laws was the 23rd time. Marasco 24th. Curtis Yancey was 25th, finishing 3 down. Hunter Carson was 26th down. Will Turnbull didn't finish this race. He was down in 27th. Rick Thompson and Michael Thorpe Jr., same story. Both not finishing this race, finishing 28th and 29th. Connor Gibson, Stan Hausman, and Joshua Kane wrap out your 32-car field from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, what a night. Absolute insanity, start to finish. And honestly, this was, wow, it was something, to put it mildly. We will get the chance to talk to your race winner, Benjamin Lacey, who will join us up now in the broadcast booth with the driver from 785. And, Benjamin, you join us up here, race winner at the night. It's your first win of the season, and boy, it's got to feel good being able to just drive away from the field on a green-white checker finish like that.
Oh, yeah, you know, it was pretty cool there for the green-white checker there because actually our whole team ended up 1, 2, 3, 4, so 785 got the top 4 sweep there, so that was pretty cool. And I I feel bad for Thorpe. Wasn't trying to door him up into the wall there like that. That was a mistake. I thought he was going to keep it up there a little bit higher, and I misjudged that. So that's on me, man. So apologize to him. But yeah, it's fun to get the win out there.
Just kind of walk through this race as a whole. We had a much longer green flag run in the middle stint than we did at Auto Club Speedway. Was that able to kind of pan out to your strengths here?
Yeah, I always like those races that do like tire strategies and getting in and out of the pits. There's some guys in here that can really do that well, so it makes it pretty fun to figure out who they are and how they run and how they drive, how their strategy works. So it's a lot more of a you can just kind of get into your rhythm, get into your groove, and make some time up on pit road and how you manage your tires, and it makes it fun for me. So yeah, good time out there tonight.
Well, we got a 1 week break, and we will roll to the Phoenix Raceway in Avondale 2 weeks from now. Obviously, with this, you are now locked into the playoffs. Is that going to change the mentality as we roll into Phoenix?
It definitely takes out a lot of stress. This field just in the first couple of races, it seems like it's very, very competitive. We got Cody Welch, teammate up there front and, consistently up front. Ethan Moreno. Alonso Chicano wasn't here tonight, but he's another guy I've noticed been up front pretty much every single race. And then, you got guys like I've raced with before, like Nick Nickerson, last week's winner, Ricky Hart. So, I mean, a lot of these guys they're just fast. So I think, getting a win when you can is going to be a good feeling.
Well, we will let you get back down to celebrating that race win. It was a hard-fought win, but one very well-deserved. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
As Benjamin Lacey joining us up here from Victory Lane, we'll move things on down to his teammate, Cody Welch, the first of three on a 785 lockout. And Austin, you're standing by with the number 2 finisher.
Cody Welch, absolutely amazing drive. I mean, you and Benjamin really put on a show there, and a couple other drivers really gave y'all a run for your money. But man, what more did you need? Not on the green-white checkered, because I think the leader just kind of has a good bit of an advantage on a 2-lap shootout like that. But the run before that, what more did you need to get past Benjamin Lacey there on that longer run?
Well, I didn't need that caution coming out 2 laps to go. That's for sure. That was going to be my strategy. 2 laps to go. I was saving my tires behind him and a little bit of fuel the entire time. I was just sitting back there, so I had a little bit left for him at the end, but that caution came out and kind of ruined my strategy. But that was a plan, is to charge hard last 2 laps and try to get around him, but it didn't work out. But at least my teammate got the win, and 785 got P1 through 4. So good night overall.
Yeah, an amazing run from the 785 guys, especially Tony Hilbrandt's coming all the way from the back of the pack after getting spun on the first lap. Last week we saw you battling for the lead for much of the race. Weren't able to get the top 3 finish that I probably feel like you deserve. But after coming here with a P2 and really showing your speed in back-to-back races that aren't super speedways, do you think that you're kind of exposing yourself as one of the main contenders for the championship at the end of the year?
Well, so far I feel like that's kind of been the thing. I feel really good in this car. I don't have a whole lot of experience running it. My last league I was in, we raced Gen 6, and then I raced Xfinity cars before that. So this is my first real league, first real season with this car, and I'm really taking a liking to it. I like the way it drives. I like the aero that it has. So yeah, I mean, I like the car. I like how it's racing so far. So let's just see. Taking it to these next couple of racetracks a little bit different. We'll just see how it goes. Try to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, we're going to a little bit slower racetrack next. We do have an off week next week, but the weekend after that, we're going to be going to Phoenix. How do you feel about that racetrack and your chances there compared to these bigger 1.5-mile, 2-mile tracks that we've been racing at the past couple weeks?
Yeah, Phoenix isn't really one of my favorites. I usually run pretty good there, but as far as just overall fun to drive, it's not one of my favorite tracks. But we'll see. I'm good on short tracks either way, so should be good.
That's good to hear. Congratulations again on the P2 finish, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you much more throughout the course of the year.
So thank you, sir.
All right, we're going to throw it back over to Nolan as he's got our 3rd place finisher, Sean Britt, standing by.
Indeed, I do. And, well, Sean, you're now able to join us up here in the broadcast booth. And it's quite the turnaround from Auto Club Speedway, where you saw the back end of that Apex Sim Racing 785 machine kicked up and into the air over on the back straightaway. But you go from 0 to hero, and you lock out the podium for 785. It's got to feel good to be able to cap it off on a high.
Yeah, it feels really good, man. I really wasn't expecting that green flag pit stop to go from, I don't know, probably like top 10 all the way to 30th. Golly day. we just had to go and crawl my way back up, and I was able to get back up there. Just took a lot of time to get up there, and pit strategy was key to it. I'll tell you that much.
It certainly came right down to the wire when it came to in terms of both pit strategies and more throughout the course of this race here at Vegas. You mentioned for a lot of this race, you found yourself kind of running more towards the top end of the mid pack before you were able to find yourself onto the podium by the end of this race, and you weren't ever really able to get that chance to breathe. Kind of walk us through, and it's just lap after lap of constant battle with other drivers in close proximity.
With battling so close, it's just you're always having to think of the next move ahead. It's kind of like chess. You can't just go and think of the moment. You got to think ahead and be like, all right, if I do this, it's going to go and possibly cause this to happen. If I do that, just you got to think of every single type of way of how you're going to pass someone, how it's going to affect your car from passing it. It's it's crazy.
So we look now forward to the Phoenix Raceway in 2 weeks' time. It's the first track that's not very draft heavy. We've seen that, of course, big time down at Daytona Auto Club, and especially here tonight at Vegas. What do you think it's going to be like when we get set to go race at the first track where that brake pedal is going to really be used properly for the first time all season long?
I don't know what we're gonna see. I haven't really run this car a lot. This is first time I've ran it with them doing a lot of tweaks. I've ran this car before they fix some stuff, but uh I don't know what we're gonna see at Phoenix. We might probably see what we saw at Las Vegas, maybe a little bit differently. Maybe there are gonna be some people trying to dive it in and burn their stuff up. But Phoenix is going to be interesting. I'll say that because we're going to get to see some more drivers, probably different faces up front. Might see some normal contenders that you'll see start to pop up throughout. If you look back all of the weeks, but yeah.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then 2 weeks from now when we go racing in Avondale, Arizona. For now, though, congratulations on the third-place finish and to cap out the 785 podium lockout. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend.
All right. You guys have a good one.
That was Sean Britt joining us up here, third place in the broadcast booth. And, well, I think then finally we can step back here and we can take a breath, Austin. My goodness. Again, what a night. What an absolutely insane night of race that we've had here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And, again, we have that 1 week break for Labor Day weekend before we get set to close things on out through the month of August. And we'll kick off September with them racing down at Phoenix on September 11th. What do you think we can expect to see? I guess from a broadcaster standpoint, I'm willing to bet maybe one or two more yellow flags. It could go green all the way. It's very dependent on how aggressive these drivers are.
Yeah, turns 1 and 2 will be kind of scary on the restarts, but I mean, after the show they put on tonight, I had faith in them in the second race that they were going to figure it out, and they really figured it out towards the end of that one, and they really had it figured out tonight. I mean, only 3 cautions at Las Vegas, and if you go back and watch this broadcast, I mean, there was racing throughout the entire field, a lot of loose condition coming off of a couple of these corners, and people able to save it, even if they're going through the grass. I mean, just absolutely amazing job by all these guys, and I'm honestly heartbroken that I'm having to miss the Phoenix race because they have put on 3 back-to-back bangers. And they've all had extremely engaging finishes. One just with, pit strategy come into play at Daytona where different lines of cars run different strategies and 2 groups coming together. Auto Club with the 2-tire call from Ricky Hart. And today with the green-white checkered finish from Benjamin Lacey, who held off crazy challenges from Cody Welch and Ethan Moreno. I think we're going to see a heck of a show at Phoenix 2 weeks' time.
It's going to be a phenomenal run for everybody here in this field who's going to be looking to try to get themselves sorted. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be one heck of a fight ahead of us. And when you look down to how the schedule is going to shake on up for the rest of Green Flag TV here throughout the rest of this week, it's going to be, of course, Tuesday night. Dylan Cole and I once again returned. It's for the longest race at the OMSRL Xfinity Series, racing to you from Charlotte Motor Speedway over in North Carolina. Austin will return with myself to run the Beer League once again on Wednesday night this week down at Lime Rock Park with both chicanes. It'll be a show, we'll put it that way. The Speed Cup Series returns to the first round of the playoffs for race number 18 at the Darlington Raceway. And don't forget, tune in this Friday for the second ever seasonal Irwindale Derby. Sorry, that'll be on Sunday. The second seasonal Irwindale Derby will be coming at you live from 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Practice opens at 7:30. Everybody is welcome. If you got iRacing, hop on in, wreck your friends. It's going to be a fun ride. For now, though, from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, it is time to say farewell. Thank you so much for joining us for the Viva Las Vegas 202 from the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. We'll see you all in 2 weeks down in the Nevada desert.